Hi there guys and guysesses, welcome to my second trimester update video. I will be discussing everything that's happened in this second trimester of pregnancy, which will include talking about my midwife appointment, blood test, 20-week scan, and I will be showing you the very adorable 20-week scan pictures, so definitely stay tuned for those. And I'll also be giving you guys updates of my pregnancy symptoms and body changes, as well as showing you the ever-changing bump that I've been having / growing over these last 3 months. So you may be thinking it hasn't actually been long since I posted my first trimester update video. Well, no, I have not time traveled 3 months in the space of a few weeks. It is in fact that I didn't actually post that video until I was 20 weeks pregnant. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this video. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the midwife appointments, the 20-week scan, and the blood test within the second trimester, and I'll do that in chronological order. So the first appointment I had was a midwife appointment, and that was at 16 weeks of being pregnant. Again, she tested my urine and she took my blood pressure. Everything came back absolutely fine. And then we went on to discuss the 12-week scan. So I had the scan pictures, but she also got a letter about the details of what was revealed in the scan. Again, everything at 12 weeks was absolutely fine, nothing abnormal looking there, and also the results from my blood test for the particular syndromes that they can test for. And then she was also asking me about how I was feeling. I did explain that I was still experiencing morning sickness on a daily basis, so she advised having extra snacks throughout the day, and for those to be mainly carbohydrate snacks just to help settle my stomach. And then she also discussed a few vaccines that I could have from about 26 or 28 weeks of being pregnant, which included a flu vaccination and whooping cough vaccinations, and when I could book in for those. And then we also briefly discussed the 20-week scan, which I had already booked at that point, and what that would entail and the reason why they do that. Basically, it's an anomaly scan or an anatomy scan where they have a really thorough look at the baby's anatomy, because again, at that point the baby should have been growing hopefully normally at that stage, but they can pick up a lot more things if something weren't developing correctly. And then before I ended the appointment, or before the appointment ended, we then booked in for the next midwife appointment, which was to fall about 25 weeks of being pregnant. Then the 20-week scan came around, which Dan and I had really been looking forward to. It seemed like ages since the 12-week scan, and we just wanted to see our baby again, so it was very, very exciting. However, in the morning of the scan, I got really anxious, and I felt exactly the same way of the 12-week scan. So even though from about 18 weeks of being pregnant, I thought I had been feeling the baby move around, I wasn't 100% sure if it was the baby or if it was just gas. I was hoping that it had been the baby that I was feeling, but because I wasn't 100% sure, I was just really nervous to get into the scan room and just to see what the scan would show. But again, I was mixed emotions. I was excited but just really anxious. So when we actually got to the scan room, the midwife sonographer explained what the 20-week scan would entail. Basically, it was going to be quite a lengthy scan, a lot longer than the 12-week scan, as they just wanted to measure pretty much everything they could of the baby's anatomy, just to make sure that the baby was developing and growing as they would expect, or as they would like the baby too. So the scan was quite a long one, as I mentioned. It did last about half an hour, and before we got started I did ask the sonographer if she could get a clear shot of the private parts, if she could let us know the sex of the baby as well, and she said yes, of course, that was absolutely fine. So the scan took place. As I said, it did take about half an hour. I was laying down, and I have to say I had really bad back pain after the first 5 minutes or so, and it was really uncomfortable. Again, as with the 12-week scan, the baby wasn't playing ball very much, so towards the last 10-15 minutes of the scan, I had to move around quite a lot. I had to move on my side, move to my other side. I then had the bed being raised that I was laying on, so that my butt was effectively higher than my chest, which was really uncomfortable when I was laying in that position for quite a few minutes. So I was pleased once the scan was finished, but I'll just run through everything that I picked up on the scan. So I've just got some notes here. A lot of these are abbreviated and they've got some measurements in there, but basically they estimated that the baby's weight was about 348 grams, which is about 12 ounces, and that fell in the 65th percentile, and they could see her heart, and that was visualized as normal. They said the fetal movements were normal. She was actually in the breech position, and the placenta site was posterior, so near the back but not low, and then the amniotic fluid was normal, and they could see 3 vessels in the cord, in the umbilical cord, which is what they're expecting. With the head, it says normal skull shape, brain, hemispheres, ventricles, midbrain and posterior fossa appear normal. face, no facial cleft, lips, nose and mandible appear normal. And then it goes on to the spine, saying the spine looks fine, basically no spina bifida. The neck/skin, no skin edema or cystic hygroma. I don't actually know what that is. The thorax and lungs appeared normal. With the heart, they could see the normal 4-chamber view, normal outflow tracts, normal 3-vessel normal 3-vessel trachea view, and normal situs/laterality. Again, not 100% sure what that means, but it just meant that everything was looking as they had hoped or had expected it to look. There was no abdominal wall defect, the stomach and GIT appear normal, kidneys and bladder appear normal, and the hands, feet, arms, legs and joints also appeared normal. And then it just summarises it at the bottom, saying ultrasound examination revealed no obvious fetal anomalies, normal growth, normal amniotic fluid, good fetal movements, placenta is posterior and not low, and then we have not arranged any further scan appointments. So, as you can imagine, I was really relieved by that point that everything looked absolutely fine, and I actually did just slip up and reveal what the sex of the baby was. So if you didn't hear that, I'm not going to repeat it again until I just say that I did do a sex reveal video. So if you haven't seen that already and you didn't hear me just slip up on the sex of the baby, then go and watch that before I ruin it. But yes, we did find out the sex of the baby when she was actually in the position where she could reveal the sex of the baby to us. She didn't actually tell us. She just announced, oh, you're having a little girl. And Dan and I have to say, we looked at each other, we were really shocked, because for the whole pregnancy, both us, our family, our friends, our colleagues, all thought we were having a boy. So it was like, excuse me, what? Also as well, because she didn't warn us she was on that part, she just announced it. It took us even more by surprise, and I have to say it took about Dan a day or two to get used to the fact that we weren't having a boy, just because that's what we thought we were having. Obviously we didn't really have a preference of the sex of the baby, we were just really happy to know that she was healthy, and that was the main thing. So as I mentioned, the scan was quite a long one. I have to say, when I got off the chair, my back felt a lot better. I was waddling around a little bit after that, but it returned back to normal, and we just felt really relieved. Also as well, we got some really cute scan pictures, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. But when we got back, we told our family, we showed the scan pictures, we told them the sex of the baby. Again, they were really surprised, but happy, of course. They didn't mind either way, but they were just really surprised because they expected it to be a boy, like we did. So yeah, so it was a really lovely day. Now I'm just going to show you guys the scan pictures. So even more detail than the 12-week scan pictures. They're really cute, really adorable. You can see a lot more, and I'm just going to show you the first one. So that is the first one there. So as you can see, a little leg, the body, I think you can see the spine a little bit more clearly in this one, and then the head, and then you can see the nose and the mouth. So that's quite a sweet picture. That one's not my favourite picture. There are a few that I think are really adorable, this being one of them. So again, head, foot, I think that's the heart that you can see, spine. But I really like this picture because she has got such cute profile. Her nose and her little lips are just so adorable. I think that is a lovely picture. And then there are a few more as well. Let me just get the next one up. Oh, this actually might be the last one I have. So I think we've got about 6 pictures, but we've given some to family. I was going to say friends, but I mean family. We did show our friends though. This I think has to be one of my favourites. Again, you can just see her. She's smiling away, looking really peaceful in there. So yeah, I really love these pictures. They're just really cute. And then she did actually manage to get some pictures of the feet as well. So let me just show you. Just trying to hide my details at the top. So that was 1 foot there, which is really cute. And then I can't remember which one was the right and which one was the left. She did tell us, but I can't remember. And that was the other foot picture as well. So yes, that was really lovely, and I definitely, well, Dan and I both felt a lot more reassured after the 20-week scan that everything was looking normal. So that definitely put our minds at rest, and we were just really looking forward to the rest of the journey really, and we still are. The next appointment I should have had was a 25-week midwife appointment. Now, as I mentioned, I did actually have that booked in, and I booked that in at the 16-week midwife appointment. However, a week before the appointment, I did actually have to call up to rearrange/cancel it, as unfortunately my grandpa had just died and his funeral was being held on the same day as I had the appointment. Normally that would have been fine, however, he did actually live 200 miles away, as do a lot of my other family, and that is where his funeral was being held, so I had to travel up the day before the appointment should have been to go to the funeral on the day of and then come back the day after. So the soonest appointment they then had was falling for me being about 28 weeks pregnant, well 28 weeks minus 1 day of being pregnant, which I later found out I should be having a 28-week appointment anyways. Midwife appointment, so effectively I had missed one. However, the midwife obviously absolutely fine with the circumstances. She did just talk through everything that we needed to have talked through in the 25-week appointment, in the 28-week appointment. So the first thing that she actually did with this appointment, again, was take my blood pressure and also test my urine. Again, everything was absolutely fine for that. And for the first time, she did actually measure my bump. So she got me laying backwards like this, and she took the tape measure from my sternum, so just the top of my bump, down vertically until about my groin area. I measured 28 centimetres, which she explained was bang on track of being 28 weeks pregnant, which was great. She did explain that she would be measuring my bump every midwife appointment from here on out, and they expect to see an average of 1 centimetre per week growth. So the next midwife appointment I have is at 31 weeks, so by then I should be about 31 centimetres. So a centimetre a week, which actually sounds like quite a lot. I was thinking, oh my goodness, that means by 40 weeks I'm going to be 40 centimetres big. Obviously, that is normal growth that they expect to see. And the reason why they do that is because if I did measure up small, or if I had stopped growing, or if my bump had stopped growing, that would be an indication that the baby had probably also stopped growing, and so therefore something was wrong and they would need to intervene. So basically they just measure it each time as another way to check to see how things are progressing. So yes, that was quite nice that they did that. It was quite interesting. I hadn't actually measured my bump up until that point, so that was really interesting to know that, and I had no idea that about 28 centimetres correlated with 28 weeks of being pregnant, which is really, really cool. Obviously, if you don't work in metric, then it won't match up quite like that, but yes, I thought that was quite good. And then the next thing that she talked about, again, was how I was feeling. Was I feeling movements? And yes, I explained that I was feeling movements on a daily basis, and I tend to feel her move a lot more when I'm less active. So when I'm sitting down, or when I'm relaxing, or when I'm about to go to bed, that's when I'll notice she'll be moving a lot more, which apparently is quite normal, but I noticed that when I'm moving about and when I'm active, that actually she doesn't tend to move that much. I think she's probably sleeping at that point. Probably the motion of me bobbing along / waddling along probably soothes her, but when I'm relaxing, that's definitely when she's the most active. So the midwife was pleased to hear that I could feel her. So that was all good. And again, she just explained if I for some reason couldn't feel the movements, or if I went a day without feeling movements, that the best thing would be to contact her, and I'll contact one of her team members, or I've basically got a number for their team. Can't get my words out today. So yes, so basically if I didn't feel her move for a certain amount of time and I felt that wasn't normal, I can phone up and then they would explain the best thing to do from there on out. So far, so good. She then went on to talk about breastfeeding and the bonuses of breastfeeding, and also along with my notes, I do actually have a magazine which she talked about a little bit, which talks about the feeding options and the caring and the bonding with your baby, and she said it's a really good read, so for me to start reading that if I hadn't already. I had already had a little bit of a peek through, but I'll definitely continue reading that over the next few weeks just to absorb as much information as possible. And then the last thing she discussed were antenatal classes and breastfeeding classes that are available to me. You do have to book them in. The antenatal class is actually a whole day thing. It's between 10 and 4 and it falls on a Saturday. Now, Dan works Monday to Friday and I work Monday to Saturday and generally have a day off during the week. So I will have to take a day off for that. But of course, I've got a holiday and my boss is absolutely fine. So yes, Dan and I are planning on going to an antenatal class. I think it will be really, really helpful as this is our first baby. Hopefully we'll get a lot of useful information at that. I still need to book it. I haven't actually booked it yet. I need to phone up to book, but in the next week I'll arrange that and hopefully that will fall in the next few weeks or so. So that is all good. With the breastfeeding classes, they're actually in the evening. I'm not sure if I'm going to book one or not, but I think when I'm on the phone to the person booking the antenatal class, then I will probably decide if I want to or not. But again, it's just something that's available to me, so that is all good. Now, after the midwife appointment finished, we then booked in another midwife appointment. As I said, that falls around 31 weeks of being pregnant. But then I also had my blood taken, and I also had my whooping cough vaccination at that visit as well. So that was all fine, but the day after I had those blood tests and that midwife appointment, I did actually get a call from a surgery, and my blood test had shown that I'd actually become anemic, so my iron count was rather low. It hadn't been in my previous 2 blood tests, but they're at 9 and 12 weeks of being pregnant. But yes, between then and now, I had become anemic, and so basically they've just prescribed me with iron supplements, which I've now been taking twice a day on top of my normal prenatal vitamins. So that's absolutely fine. The vitamins, sorry, not the vitamins. Oh, I can't talk today. Also, it's quite warm in this room and I'm very aware that it's quite stuffy, and I think my brain just gets frazzled in the heat. But anyways, so yes, for the last week, I'm now 29 weeks pregnant and a few days. So since that 28-week appointment, I have been taking the vitamins or the iron supplements as well as the prenatal vitamins. So that should counteract the low deficiency. So hopefully everything should be healthy from here on out. And actually that is all the appointments / blood tests / scans that fall in the second trimester of being pregnant. So the last thing to discuss are pregnancy symptoms and body changes and the differences between the first trimester and the second trimester. So in the first trimester update video, I did mention that the only body change that I experienced were that my boobs were fuller / bigger, which again I wasn't complaining about, and the only other pregnancy symptoms that I was having was that I was very gassy, so very burpy, and also I was experiencing morning sickness on a daily basis. Well, actually I was throwing up every evening / afternoon throughout the first trimester from being about 3 weeks of being pregnant. Unfortunately, that pregnancy symptom did continue into the second trimester, so again I was still throwing up on a daily basis until I hit about 19 weeks of being pregnant. For the following 2 weeks after that, so week 20 and 21, I was still throwing up, but it had decreased to just 3 times a week. So that was good. And then for the following 2 weeks after that, so week 22 and 23, I only threw up once a week. So definite improvement there. And then I didn't throw up for a whole 2 weeks. And I was thinking, oh, fantastic. And then out of the blue, I threw up randomly on a Monday and a Tuesday morning. So 2 consecutive days. And I was like, oh, this is great. But I am pleased to say, since being 25 weeks being pregnant, I have not thrown up since then. Fingers crossed that continues into the third trimester, because I would really like to not be beaming sick. So yes, so I haven't thrown up since about 25 weeks of being pregnant, and I have noticed that since I have stopped being sick on a daily basis, that the thought of foods and the smells of foods aren't putting me off as much as they were before. However, the thought of beef burgers, ugh, that makes me feel really queasy, so staying away from those. And also as well, certain cooked food smells again make me feel really queasy, but other than that, my eating habits have returned to normal and I don't feel as nauseous about certain foods, so that's really, really nice. Even though the sickness has stopped, I am still very burpy, more so in the mornings, but I do notice that throughout the day that does settle down. So moving on to body changes. So as I mentioned, I did have a free boob job effect for the first trimester, and that has continued to the second trimester, and I think they're probably a little bit more full in the second trimester than they were in the first trimester, and I'm assuming that as we lead up to the birth and hopefully a successful breastfeeding relationship, that I'm assuming they'll probably just get a little bit more fuller when I actually start producing milk. So yes, still a nice fuller chest, which I'm not complaining about. Now, one new thing that I have experienced is back pain. Now, as I mentioned when I was talking about the 20-week scan when I was laying down, that my mid-back or my lower back was really, really uncomfortable. Well, I do notice that actually every now and again, usually a daily basis, the bottom of my back, usually the lower part of my back, gets really uncomfortable at times, and it's usually the lower right hand side, and sometimes as well I'll get a little bit of discomfort sort of going down my right hand side leg, and I think that's just the baby pressing on certain nerves that are making little sort of shooting pains down there. It's nothing too drastic, I can still walk well, and it's not really affecting me too much, but I do get quite an achy back from time to time. But I am just remaining with good posture, most of the time that I can, and I do find that standing up sometimes helps. I still get it when I'm standing up, but if I'm sitting down and experiencing it, I will stand up for a little bit and just walk around to try and ease the discomfort. Now, another thing that I've noticed, and this has been more so since about being 25 weeks pregnant as well, sleeping. Now when I turn from side to side when I'm sleeping, my actual bump does get really uncomfortable, and I think it's just the pressure of the baby and everything else in there from me turning from one side to the other. It's just putting pressure on my muscles. And I do notice as well when I've been sitting down for a little bit of time and then go to standing up. So for instance, when I've been in the car driving and then go to stand up, the sudden weight of my bump being released on the bottom of my stomach gets really uncomfortable. And also as well, my pubic bone area, so you know that fleshy mound sort of between your legs at the front, that can get really uncomfortable as well, and I feel like I'm waddling. So I do notice when I'm walking to work in the morning, and it's only a short distance, that I have to really make an effort to not waddle, but it really feels like I am. So that is another body change that I have noticed. And of course, the other body change is a growing bump. So yes, my stomach has been expanding as the baby has been growing over these last 3 months, and I will just be showing you guys a little slideshow of my bump growing over the last 3 months, and I'll show you that now. So as you saw, there was a little bit of a gap there. I think there was a gap of about 6 weeks or maybe even more. I am currently 29 weeks and 2 days pregnant, so I'm just going to stand up and show you guys what my bump looks like. Firstly, under clothes, and then also I'll raise it up. You'll have to excuse me because I did actually know I was going to film my bump. I am just wearing my pyjama bottoms, which really don't match my checked top because again, my pyjama bottoms are checked, but it was just easier than wearing a skirt and having to lift that up / down. So I'm just going to show you, this is what I look like from the front. From the front, with clothes on, from the side. As you can see, I'm filling this shirt rather nicely, and I'm just going to show you what I look like. So I'm just making sure my pyjamas are not too low down. So that is what I look like from the front. Now, as you can see, I don't have a waist anymore. My waist used to be here. This used to be the slimmest point of me, but now it is just below my ribs, as I've got nice and rounded there, and you can see nice and round. Also as well, I don't know if you can see, but my belly button is protruding a bit, and that is what I look like from the side and from the other side. So yes, I don't know if you can see if I stand to the side, but that bit there does just poke out a little bit, which is really weird seeing my belly button change shape so much. And also as well, you'll be able to see where I used to have my surface piercing. If you haven't already watched the video where I remove it, I will be leaving a link in the description box down below and probably somewhere up on the screen here. But this is what it looks like 2 months, well 8 weeks after I removed it. So you can still see there's actually that dark line connecting the two. It looks a lot darker on camera, and the scars look a lot more red on camera as well, but in reality they're actually a bit paler than that. This one has completely flattened over. This one is flat, but it's actually still got a little dell from where the piercing used to poke out. But I am moisturising my stomach area, so all here, and sort of the flanky areas on the back on a daily basis. So whilst I'm doing that, I'm also massaging that. So in future update videos or bump date videos, I will also show you guys what that looks like. But yes, that is my ever expanding stomach. So that is what my 29-week and 2-day pregnant stomach / bump looks like. Very, very different to how I looked a few months ago. And now that does bring us to the end of the video. Now I am thinking for the 3rd trimester, as I'm now officially in the 3rd trimester, how crazy is that? I'm nearer to the end of being pregnant than I am to the beginning of being pregnant. Oh, it's crazy. I'll soon have a tiny human being to look after. It's, yeah, very, very odd. Very exciting at the same time though, I can't wait till she's here. Anyways, getting off point, that does bring us to the end of the video, but I am thinking of doing more regular update videos during the third trimester. I'm thinking maybe every 2 to 3 weeks if I can do. The only reason why I haven't been doing really regular update videos is because my spare days off, so my days off and my spare time has actually been spent decorating our house in preparation for flooring and other things being fitted. Hopefully that will be coming to an end very, very soon, therefore freeing up days to be able to do update videos and other videos for you guys. So I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks worth of being pregnant in an update video. Over the third trimester, I'm assuming my bump will be ever expanding and growing quite rapidly, and my feelings or how I'm feeling, my tiredness or my energy levels are probably going to be changing quite a bit, so I'm thinking more regular updates would probably be best. If you're thinking 2 to 3 weeks is too often, then maybe every 4 weeks. Whatever you guys think, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll have a little look and think about it a little bit more. I'm also thinking of doing a Q&A video specifically for this pregnancy, and I would also like to do it as a live video, so as a live stream. I've never done a live stream before, so if you would be interested in doing a live stream and answering your questions there and then please let me know in the comments below, and I shall have a little think and see what you guys think about it. But yes, now that does bring us to the end of the video. I'll stop waffling on. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave this video a thumbs up. If you aren't already and would like to be, then remember to hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye for now.